everybody, welcome to another week of Available Work. I'm Commissioner Joe Esparza here at TWC. And so today we have a series of mini episodes that we're calling Your Business Brief. And a lot of these were recorded during our workforce conference last year. So you're going to hear funny sound as far as the sound quality is great. I still think they're pretty good. But you'll probably hear some background noise there too. But I was very excited. We had a whole bunch of employers and stakeholders all in the same room, and I tried to pester enough of them to sit down with me so that, they were recorded. We've got a good range of guests, everyone from workforce board leaders, some EDs, to employers and industry leaders, and also to some specific individuals I think are just great people and doing great things for our veterans community and for our reinforcing our vocational rehabilitation. Also, some good examples of employers using resources that the state provides. So I hope these are very helpful to you. They're very quick, so you'll get in and out of these here pretty quick. This week features discussion with Jennifer Wyatt. She's VP of Human Resources at Portacool, and our friend Lieutenant E.J. Rivera, who's does a recruitment program coordinator for the State Park Police. And I'm so excited. Thanks to EJ for sitting there and talking to us about his job. And let's go ahead and move into the business brief. Good morning. We're on day 2 of the 27th annual Texas Workforce Conference here in Grapevine. And I ran across Jennifer Wyatt. Jennifer, hi, how are you?
Hey, good morning. Good morning.
I found out that she worked at Portacool, and I appreciate it. Mark Duran was flagged me down, and we got to talking, and I thought this was a great resource for employers to hear out there. And why don't you tell us a little bit tell us who you work for. It's one of I've known the company for a long time, just because it's an amazing product, amazing machines. Everybody loves these things, from probably like NFL football players.
Yeah, on the sidelines.
Yeah, they're on the sideline everywhere. They're at my wedding. They were at a number of hot 120-degree campaign
You're in
events.
Texas, you know who Portacool is.
There you go, Portacool. So, but you guys are based out of Center, Texas, right?
Center, Texas. So sometime around in the 90s is where it kind of started getting some traction, and so from there it moved from one plant to another plant, but it's all located in Center at this point.
Right.
And at some point, they did some international expansion in different areas. So we're predominantly right now in Canada, Mexico, and the United States. But we do ship all over the world.
Great.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are the evaporative coolers.
Okay.
And they range from the big ones, like they're on the NFL, sidelines that you see.
Massive ones.
The ones that they get mad at and kind of can't
go. So they got it. So they're tough.
Yeah,
right?
So they're durable.
Got to be durable.
And all the way to the back porch. So where you just have where you're cooking out or barbecuing. So great company. Obviously much needed here in the Texas climate. Yeah, definitely thankful again. Like I said, wonderful deal. But again, you had it was a very obviously an unfortunate issue that happened to you guys that I learned about. But again, like I said, I think this is a great resource for employers to hear kind of the process of the issue. And y'all had a fire that was back in 20. Was it last year? It was last year.
Okay, so pretty recent. Yeah. So this is still an
it was
open
very
wound.
catastrophic. So in Center we have 2 plants. You have the original plant and the new plant, and it was in June, Father's Day weekend of June of 23.
Okay.
So we had some electrical storms and just a lot going on. And so I guess I got a call on Saturday afternoon, plant was on fire.
Oh.
And when I rounded the corner, it was catastrophic. And so at some point we just said, hey, we got to save one building.
Yeah.
So they quit focusing on that building.
Right.
Luckily, nobody was in there. Nobody was hurt.
Yeah. Minimize damage.
And so so as the building was still burning, the leadership team went inside and said, okay, what do we do?
Yeah.
I mean, we had to do something. So we're in the dead of the summer.
Yeah.
But
how many employers at the time, how many people were you employed? And again, you're the vice president of HR for Portacool there. Tell me what your full-time employee count was, and also I think we talked about the population of Center being about 8,200.
Yes,
right.
small town,
small community, rural community.
A large employer in that area.
Yeah.
So we had about 500 team members.
Yeah.
We worked 2 shifts. We were, Monday through Friday and Saturdays and Sundays were in the dead summer, so no one was there but 500. Yeah. And after the fire, we were down to about 110.
Okay, yeah.
And so within a short period of time,
tough layoff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I called the local workforce commission on a Sunday, and I had a conference room full on a Monday.
Yeah.
And we worked it out, and by Thursday, we had all of the team members that were being laid off at the Civic Center, alphabetical order. We had 3 rooms. We had an unbelievable local and just the overall area support from the Workforce Commission to help the team members process their paperwork. They invited employers there so they could start looking for other jobs. So it was phenomenal to pull that off in 4 days.
So your first call was to the local Workforce Solutions Board there. Was that Mark Duran's offices back when he was over there?
It was actually the center area. So it was so it was the center who got in touch with Mark Duran's office, and they there was a local office that got in touch with Mark Duran. So we're talking about kind of the local Workforce Solution Boards that have a rapid response type of scenario, and that happens when you have act of God. Yes,
hurricanes, natural disasters.
Yeah.
In the case that happens, people are looking to first ensure that their families are okay. Sure. In this case, it was localized to the plant.
Yes.
So now that was, how did you feel about that first part about it? I mean, I think I hope you let yourself have a little tiny smidge of panic. But you look pretty stoic as far as like, I got this. I know what I'm doing. I'm doing this for how long have you been in HR?
24 years. Yeah.
So you probably planned for stuff like this in the past, right?
Things have happened, but you don't ever really plan.
Sure.
And you have a panic.
Yeah.
And so I will have to say I panicked until Monday.
Right. Yeah.
And then, because everybody else was panicking on their own about their other issues. I had to panic about the workforce.
That's
right. So just having those resources available and knowing, hey, don't worry about that, don't worry about that, don't worry about that, and I could focus and compartmentalize what I really had to focus on.
Good. Yeah, I get it. So that process was basically you brought everybody in. Y'all talked about the reality of y'all probably talked about some benefits.
Yes.
And there at some point there was a conversation that you probably had with the Texas Workforce Commission in Austin, right?
Yes.
Was there
what they did was Mark got us in contact with Austin.
Okay.
And so there is a department there. There's resources there that handle the mass layoff piece.
Right.
Because you can't have 300-400 people go down to your local workforce
and
commission.
there's some kind of reporting or something.
There
that,
is.
Definitely like warn notice or something.
Yeah, so obviously, you're not going to give us 60 days
right, yeah, exactly.
warn act. But so what you work with that department, you give them a list of names, and they, during the Civic Center, there was a resource that came in and spoke to the team members. Here's what you do. Here's what the process is. They just followed that rapid response to a T. And so when the team members left, they were very confident on what they had to do to get some type of the benefit.
Yeah.
And what the process was.
And I'd imagine that being in a small community, that hits pretty hard in that local community. And it sounded like there was a lot of support from other businesses and other places in the community.
They called me and said, hey, can we go to the Civic Center? And so they all worked through the Workforce Commission to get that set up.
Oh, okay,
because I was handling a lot of the employee issues. But so they were all set up in one room. There was another room where the Workforce Commission was in there, and they had computers and set up so they could go ahead and get registered and so that they could start their benefits. And And then you had the local churches and the local community and people just rallying for support to help those team members, and continued for weeks and months on end.
Yeah.
Yeah, until they either came back to work or the Workforce Commission was able to find them another job in the area.
Yeah. The next part of that process was, for the employees that were unfortunately having to be laid off. They learn their benefits. They learn what definitely what is owed to them when it comes to through being laid off through no fault of their own.
Sure.
And then it sounded like on the same day y'all turned around and had a kind of a job fair in that same area. What was the turnout for employers? What was the need elsewhere for employers to show up and pick up these folks?
I think we had somewhere between 15 and 20 employers show up. Just show up.
Yeah.
And I think they were still coming in. They're like, hey, I heard there was a fair. Do you mind if I jump in? Because I know these team members are going to need to need a home, whether it's temporary, permanently, whatever.
Yeah.
And so they were all in one room. And so it was very systematic. So they spoke of their benefits in one room. They went to the next one. They went to the computers and filed online and got registered and got set up. And then they went to the other room and started interviewing with other employers. And so they left with a sense of confidence that they didn't have leading up to that day.
Yeah. Again, I would say that's just small town stuff, when it comes to the community and the response. But again, having 15 to 20 employers, in a rural area is pretty impactful. It's pretty. It shows up, but I think a lot of that also has to do with the local workforce boards and their extension offices that are in rural communities and pretty much all over the state. Just having the contact information, having it's almost like that call tree when it comes out for bad weather days.
Right,
right.
Like,
school's out, y'all. We're not coming into school, but I feel like that's kind of the alert that goes out to employers. Tell us a little bit about. So it's only been about a year and a couple of months now. Where are we at now in the process and kind of growing back? Are you getting return employees that are returning? After being away for a while to come back to the office?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So right after that, within 2 months, we found another location, and we were back manufacturing like within 2 months.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
So we rehired a handful of individuals, and they helped us through that process.
Yeah.
Because you have your layoff list and you have your recall list, and so that constant communication with the workforce to get people back.
Yeah.
And then once you go through the list and exhausted that, because at some point people just go find somewhere else to work,
yeah,
right?
Of course, yeah.
I mean, it's a transitional, right? And so now we're back up to 250, 270 people rebuilding that plant. And so now we've gone to the apprenticeship program.
Yeah.
And so we are reaching back out to the Workforce Commission and say, okay, we lost these skills. We've lost all of these individuals that knew the job.
Yeah.
We've got to retrain. We've got to build back that knowledge because the tribal knowledge is gone.
Yeah. And that's important. So it sounds like there's good news on the horizon for the operation. I'm pretty impressed that you're only really down for almost 2 months, right? Is that what you said?
We had 2 lines up in 2 months, and it took us another 4 or 5 months to get the other 2 lines going. We had some missed opportunities because the inventory was gone.
Yeah.
But and at this point we're just growing back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think you obviously know this, but again, employers, I think this is a great example of utilizing some of the programs that we have already available, the apprenticeship programs, and some grants and training skills training grants that'll help you get some of your technicians, incumbent workers,
operators,
operators up to speed on that. If there's anything else, we're on the horizon. Your expansion, are y'all? What optimistically, what are y'all looking to in the next year with the company there in Center?
So we will hire for another line coming in January, February. So we've already spoke with the Workforce Commission about doing a job fair just for
good. Yeah,
so that's another 20, 25 people.
That'll be good.
Just specifically for us. So now that I have the timeline on the rebuild, we're going to start putting some pen to paper on what that apprenticeship program looks like and put a timeline together. And we're just looking for a good, stable year of just to stable. The goal is to stabilize because it's been crazy for about a year and a half. But that's kind of the future plans.
Well, it's great. Jennifer, thank you again for coming on and sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
I can't tell you enough that in business in the state of Texas, I mean, things happen, as far as, electrical fires or natural, lightning storms. It can happen to anybody. Obviously, having those continuity plans definitely is a game changer. Obviously, going through a pandemic, I think a lot of us started to see more of that type of planning in our strategies and our program strategies. So I think that's good. But more importantly, to identify the people that are there to help, the people that are there to to help you with communications out to other employers and help your workforce. Make sure that they're employed and they're meaningfully employed after a situation like that. So.
The only advice I would give to any of the employers is make sure you have those strong connections. Karen and Mark, and so strong connections. So when something does happen, whether it's good, you have a ramp up, you have an expansion, or the latter, that you know exactly who to call, when to call, and know that there's resources available to help.
Awesome. Okay, Jennifer Wyatt, thank you so much from Portacool. VP of HR. It's a big deal. And just to let you know, obviously, our office does provide some of those resources. There's some information here. I always like to talk about our attorneys that are there to help employers and help guide you guys through stuff like this at any time y'all need it. So
Thank you.
Contacted us and appreciate it. And I'll let you get back on with the conference. Thanks for being here.
All right. Thanks to you.
Okay,
thank you.
Bye.
Nice to meet you.
We've got a special guest, E.J. Rivera, who may or may, you're
Texas Parks and Wildlife.
Texas Parks and Wildlife.
State Park Police. Yes, sir.
Is it Lieutenant? I was trying to.
Yes, sir.
Lieutenant Texas Parks and Wildlife.
I'm a lieutenant. I'm a recruiter, program coordinator for our state park law enforcement program.
That's awesome. I'm glad you came. So, E.J., who do you know in our office?
Who do I know? Well, my wife is one.
Veronica.
Veronica.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you and Katie. And I had a chance to meet Tommy last week.
Oh, good. Yeah. So you're good.
Yeah.
You're getting more familiar with everybody.
And then Brian as well.
So we saw EJ walking across. You've chauffeured Veronica up here to the conference, and we pulled you into an interview. I always appreciate you, obviously, just not only for the fact that you're being in law enforcement, you're an employee of the state just like we are, but you have I think you have a very interesting job position right now in promoting and recruiting for the state parks. Can you talk a little bit about kind of what you've done for the state parks and what you do currently as far as recruiting and helping people find jobs?
Right, absolutely. So it all started, I would say, roughly about 8 years ago. I started my career at Lake Corpus Christi State Park.
Mm-hmm.
I was a field officer there and spent some time there, and then moved around in the region a little bit. Worked at Goose Island, Choke Canyon, of course, Lake Corpus. And then from there, an opportunity came up where we had a recruiter position. And what's great about this is I was the first to pioneer this position. We
good.
Never had a recruiter prior to that. So it's a good feeling. I always tell everyone I am the best recruiter right now.
That's
and
right.
And I'm the worst as well.
Take that title. Yeah, we don't have to talk about the other part of it. But,
everything it's going well. It is a challenge.
Yeah.
Law enforcement today. There's not a lot of people that want to do law enforcement anymore. It's a
different world.
position that's very scrutinized. So that is a challenge.
Yeah.
But yes, my responsibilities is to find talent statewide. I am a statewide recruiter.
That's
It
right,
requires a lot of traveling, visiting campuses, high schools, colleges. Even meeting with little ones as well. So yeah, it does present a challenge, but I enjoy doing it.
That's great, and we've recruited you at a few events for us when we do our intern conference that we did in San Antonio.
Right.
We're probably going to continue doing that because it's a great opportunity for you to meet potential recruits and to bring people on and have that discussion with those kids. What's one of the biggest questions that you get when people come to, say, State Park Police or kind of doing the work that you do?
Right. Yeah. So I know I do get this quite a bit. What's the most challenging part of the job, or what's the job entail, and a lot of it is I get a lot of these questions too. Are you a game warden? And so there is a difference, right? We're State Park Police and we're our own program. As to where game wardens are their own as well. So I do get that a lot. Then I'm explaining the differences of State Park Police and game wardens.
Yeah.
Game wardens are they are assigned to counties and we're assigned to state parks. So that's one of the main differences. There's a lot of similarities in the job. We do both have statewide jurisdiction, same arresting powers. We can write citations anywhere in the state of Texas as well. So basically explaining to potential applicants who we are and promoting our brand of work. We provide law enforcement and public safety services to our state parks. We have a total of 88 state parks in the state of Texas. We have a few that are in development, so that number will increase slowly but surely. But yeah, that's the main thing. They're wanting to know the difference, and then basically, okay, what do you do as a state park police officer? So there I go explaining to potential applicants, what I used to do in the field, and then the differences from recruiting and then being a field officer. It's the two totally different positions, and having to learn that as my career went on, it was like learning two jobs.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I got to say, you promote it very well. You extend a good resource for the state of Texas, and like I said, you carry it well, and you're a great representative for the park system. So I always appreciate that. I also appreciate you invited me to come dove hunting with you a couple of months ago. Down in South Texas at your place. I had a lot of fun with that.
I'm glad you had a great time.
Oh man, it was great. I will tell you that I know there was a point in time when the sun was going down, and it was getting dark, and I'm like, is he waiting for me to say let's call it, or I was a little nervous, and then that's why I asked him, like, so tell me, what is the rule? It's 30 minutes after sunset, right?
Right.
That's
correct,
what it is. It's
correct.
not. It's not at what level does it get dark? Right.
right. Yeah. And
but I always love joking about that, because I was like, I wonder if he's just waiting for me to call it and being like, man, you would definitely get a citation if you kept shooting. And I was like,
right.
Well, I'm not going to shoot anymore just because I'm wondering.
Yeah, I was testing you. That's
right.
That's what it was, right?
Awesome.
Testing your knowledge.
Lieutenant Rivera, thank you so much. Good to see you here. I'm glad you were able to come up here for a little bit and check out the conference.
Good deal.
We're going to continue to invite you, or whatever resources you have to support, helping you guys look for good candidates, good quality candidates, and please be safe. And to all your brothers, or law enforcement brothers,
thank you.
We really appreciate it.
And now that you bring that up, we are accepting applications.
That's right.
Till December the 15th.
So can people just Google State Park Police?
They can, and another we're on our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and X. I placed links on there where potential applicants or prospects can access those links, and it's click of a button, really, or on your phone and whatnot. It's mobile friendly as well. So
awesome.
Yeah, so definitely they can get on there and read the job requirements and job description, and hopefully it's something that's for them.
Awesome.
Right.
That's very good, everybody. Our very own Lieutenant E.J. Rivera from our staff, but also employed by the state parks. We're just going to call you that.
Good deal.
Awesome. Okay, E.J., thanks so much for coming here, man. Enjoy your time.
Thank you.